Hey guys, it's Chelsea, the Reading Outlaw, here to do a review video for you guys. Can you guys tell I'm really trying to step up my review game on all the books that I've been reading? Sorry if the deluge of reviews lately has been bugging you, or if it's not your favorite thing, there will be other videos forthcoming, but like I said, I'm really trying to get better about kind of upping the number of things I review and when I review books in regards to when I read them, so yes. This is an effort to do that. I am here today reviewing the graphic novel Wytches, written by Scott Snyder, story by Scott Snyder, art by Jock, colors by Matt Hollingsworth, letters by Clem Robbins, and editor David Brothers. So, any of you guys who just recently watched my October TBR, you will have seen Severed, which is also by Scott Snyder. You all actually will have also seen this one because I held it up real quick, saying that this is the Scott Snyder book that got me interested and got me reading, and so that's why we are now going into Severed because of Wytches. So let's talk about Wytches. Wytches is not your standard witch story, but it also kind of is your standard witch story. Sailor Rooks and her family moved to this tiny town after a couple of family tragedies. Essentially, there's this girl who's been bullying Sailor, and she passes away, and Sailor thinks that she's being haunted by this girl. And that combined with some of her dad's like alcoholism and some other stuff that's like alluded to but not really explained, the Rooks family has now moved to this small town. Does it say Litchfield, New Hampshire? And so they get there, and then Sailor starts seeing some really weird things in the woods. She's kind of attacked by this monster that she thinks is the kind of ghost of the girl who was killed in her previous town that they're kind of fleeing from the memory of. And so one night Sailor goes missing, and it turns out that she has been abducted by the witches. She's been pledged. Pledged is pledged. That's like a phrase or whatever that becomes. Sorry, can you guys tell that my bangs are really bugging me? I'm about to get them cut, that's why, because they're too long. But anyway, pledged is pledged. That's what's said frequently throughout the book. But the entire graphic novel, or actually like the last 4 volumes in the graphic novel, the first volume is just kind of all about Sailor and why they're in Litchfield and how they got there. But shortly after she gets abducted, the rest of the story is about her father. Kind of, oh, do you guys hear that beep? That's the baby, so I gotta make this quick. And so basically her father is off to find her. He meets a number of really kind of creepy people along the way, some of whom are there to help him do that, some of whom are there to keep him from doing that. So it's got definitely these vibes of kind of a Stephen King-esque small town. Everybody's kind of in on it. Everybody knows what's happening. And basically they're all kind of there to feed the witches. The whole thing about the book is that the witches can give you, like, grant you wishes, kind of like if you're sick and you go to them and you say I don't want to be sick, or you go to them and you say I want to live forever, or I want $1 million, or kind of whatever your wish is, and then you pledge someone to them, they will grant your wish. So that's kind of the exchange. You're exchanging human life for whatever it is that the witches are going to give you. And so the town, the people of this town, that's a pretty good deal to them. So Sailor Rooks' father goes looking for her, and he, like I said, he meets several people along the way, several townspeople. There's several twists and turns as to who you can trust and who you can't. In that way, it's kind of like the typical horror story, horror novel, like go and find the bad guys kind of thing. The thing that sets this book apart, and I've shown you guys a little bit of this before. I'll show you my favorite panel because it's the one I'm most fond of showing, because I feel like it definitely shows some of the like terror involved in this book. But it's also, I think it's an incredibly beautifully illustrated book. There are lots of installments that aren't necessarily, or panels that aren't necessarily horrific, but they've all got these really interesting like watercolor splotch kind of overlays. It just gives the whole book kind of this like ethereal feeling. Like you can kind of see like everything that's going on. Oh, there's a little bit of nudity on that page. Sorry guys, not safe for work. But I'm trying to find a good page to show you guys that the witches themselves and the way that they look are like absolutely batshit terrifying. Like here's one of them kind of from behind. I'll see if I can find another good one of them from the front, because it's their faces that, or their kind of lack of faces, that I think are most terrifying. So I'm going to keep talking as I flip through the book, but I think the thing that kind of, here's a good one. Here you can kind of see up close what they look like. Yeah, and here, this is also a really good page because it shows like the different layers and levels of color and kind of splotching and spattering that's going on. But yeah, so the art I think is kind of what sets this book apart. I've read a bunch of people who didn't really like it. They found the kind of color overlays distracting, but I really love them. I thought that they added this really kind of haunting and ethereal and otherworldly feeling to this book, which since this book is so rooted in like daily life, since this book is all about like what happens to real people in unreal situations, thought that that was really helpful. There are a couple things about this book. Maybe it's because I've read a bit too much Stephen King right here. Maybe it's because it's kind of tropey. Maybe Snyder's didn't handle it as well as it could have been handled, but the characterization of Sailor's dad, I don't even remember his name. I want to say it's like Matt or something, but Charlie. There we go. His name's Charlie. And he is kind of the stereotypical alcoholic writer father who reforms his ways and gets better about it, which is great. There's one scene where we're kind of supposed to understand like the depths of his drunkenness or his bad fatherness, and it's a scene that involves being on a Ferris wheel and having Sailor do something really dangerous and really stupid because he's drunk and he wants her to prove herself. I didn't buy that. That's the one part in this book where I was like, really? Like really? I don't buy that. I was cool with the witches, cool with the magic, cool with the rest of it, but that one part did not sit super great with me. So I gave this book a 5 stars, not because I loved it without any shadow of a doubt, but because I feel like it successfully accomplished what it was trying to accomplish, which is to scare me and to set the stage for what will be a second volume, where I'm assuming we will kind of see what happens to Sailor after her and her dad confront the witches, because that's where this book kind of ends off on. So sorry if that was spoilery. I hope I didn't spoil anything too badly. Sorry if that was rambly, but I am still kind of not in a hangover, but this was incredibly creepy to me. So it kind of messed with me on that level. And so I'm still kind of trying to get over it. But hopefully, Severed will either help that or make it a whole lot worse. So we'll see. If you've read Witches or if you're too afraid to read Witches, I've talked to several people out there who want to read it, but it looks very scary. I would say definitely give it a go with the lights on, preferably away from woods or wooded areas if you can, because I definitely think it deserves a read. I definitely thought it accomplished what it was trying to accomplish, and I think it's worthy of at least like I said, 5 stars. Other people I know have given it between 4.5 stars, so somewhere in there. For me, it was a 5 star read. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna go grab the baby, you guys. Everybody have a good day. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in different places around the internet. Bye.